And Will in Portland, you remember him. He's the hors d'oeuvre guy.
All you tools climbing the grease pole, banging your heads on the door, trying to get in the smack off. Listen, I got a new name for you. I call you hors d'oeuvres. You know why? Because you're going to get your punk ass ate up.
Now, he was part of a segment that I called the worst segment in the history of radio. He doesn't want to be a part of that segment. He's looking for redemption. He wants back in. Hey, I'm all for giving anybody a second chance, even the hors d'oeuvre guy. Hey, good play, Will. You don't want to be a part of that segment. At what I called the worst segment in the history of radio. Not the worst segment in the history of this show. The worst segment in the history of radio. Not the worst segment in the history of sports talk radio. Again, the worst segment ever. This guy was in the middle of the worst segment ever, and he doesn't want any part of that, which I respect. I wouldn't either. He wants a shot at redemption. He wants to make it right. Remember, the last time he called, Alvin, this is what he did.
All you tools climbing the grease pole, banging your heads on the door, trying to get in the smack off. Listen, I got a new name for you. I call you hors d'oeuvres. You know why? Because you're going to get your punk ass ate up.
He's back. His first call since that. Will in Portland looking for a shot at redemption. What's up, Will?
It's hump day. Hey, listen, Romy, that silence is between the commercial
breaks. It's not,
breaks.
Will. It's Tuesday. Tomorrow's hump day.
Oh, I tried. Hey, that silence between the commercial breaks is getting really creepy. This is what I'm thinking. Why don't we run that old bang loop back around? Either that or that awesome Rock Quarry commercial that Jay Stu did, or Lawn Rocks, or whatever that was. Hey, Jay, just keep your nose to the grind, and someday when you grow up, you can be just like Romy, and you can do Valpak coupons. Now, look, Rome, I had the unfortunate timing of getting thrown in with that Tool from North Carolina. Hey, Tool, check it out. You drug me down for a minute, but guess what? You're on your own now, buddy. Because when you start talking about the worst segment ever, Rome, that kind of, it really gets me in my heart. I've been a clone for 10 years. I'm from the days of Lawrence Taylor soundbite and big faxes. And since 99, I've been a clone, man. So it just really struck me in the wrong place. And so I got to thinking about some of the worst stuff ever. Now, when you say the worst ever, you mean worse than Patty from Modesto? When you say the worst ever, do you mean if he can beat Tyrone, why can I not beat Tyrone? When you say the worst ever, do you mean when Sean Marion called up with his snotty nose? That one was great. When you say the worst ever, do you mean that time when that wrinkly old red-ass jockey came on and he broke us off with those eloquent answers and stories that he had? Hey, George Burns from the racetrack, C3P Olerud called, and he said, feel free to be a little more eloquent and tell us how you really feel, all right? Rome, let me get onto a sports take because I know that's the theme of the show, and I do want to add to the bottom line to the show. Why is Bynum catching a break? This guy's about as sturdy as Travis at the tee kneeling over to put his ball down, all right? Portland Trailblazers.
When I say worst segment ever, I meant worst segment ever. Hey, Will, listen. I respect where you're coming from. It had to hurt for you to hear. Wait a minute, hold up. I've had your back. I've been listening now for a decade. I make a phone call, and you're telling me, a guy who's heard this show, who's heard everything on this show for the past 10 years, and I've heard some pretty crappy things on this show, that I'm a part of the worst segment ever? That's pretty much what I'm saying. It doesn't mean you're the worst caller ever. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong call, and it just happened to be a part of the worst segment ever. That doesn't mean you can't ever call ever again. But I'm going to stand on that. I'm going to stay with that. That was still the worst segment ever in the history of the world. All right, we will come back, and when we do, Ryan Garko joins me. Man, they're all coming out. There's a Mike in Wichita sighting, too. Hey, come on out, legends. Save something for the smack off. Mike in Wichita wants to respond to Will in Portland. Good enough? It's been that kind of week, right? I saw Terrence at the racetrack. Mike in Wichita wants to respond to Will in Portland. That guy Mike in Indy put JD in Nashville on blast. It's all coming together.